It's Monday, September 1st, 2025. Hope everybody's having a great Labor Day. Hope the weekend's been great. I want to share a few articles today and some news about precious metals. A lot is happening right now. Metals market is open. Gold futures rise to record high on Fed concerns, rate cut expectations. Gold is up more than 34% year to date. And I'm looking at the futures right now on CNBC, and they are way up. If you look at gold prices on SD Bullion today, way up. Right now, gold is up $34, sitting at $3,488 an ounce. Silver is up $1.08 as I make this video, sitting at $40.93. Yes, $40.93. If you need some of this stuff, go to my link down below, SD Bullion. Get yourself some gold and silver. I think this is just the beginning. I think we're going to see metals continue for years to come. And if you don't have this stuff, at some point, most people are going to get priced out. And I think that we're going to begin to see shortages at some point, especially in the silver market. Is that a year from now, 2 years from now, two months from now? I don't know. But I think we are going to see silver shortages in the very near future. Here's one from the hedge today. Futures flat as silver soars to 11-year high. I remember buying silver at $12, $13, $14, $15 an ounce. And there are still people today making excuses of why they don't have any. There were people saying that they're not going to buy any because it was going back to $8 and gold was going back to $800. Do you really think, with everything that is happening now, with the amount of debt, global debt, US debt, do you really think that silver is going back to $8? Do you really think that gold's going back to $800? Highly, highly unlikely. And, you know, there's still people on social media, you know, and these are the people that typically make the excuses that they don't have any money, but they're, you know, they're holding up the $8 latte from Starbucks. They're holding up the Morton steak, you know, showing us the weekend trips to Vegas, the $25 cocktails, the weekend vacations, the leased cars, the rented condos, all that. People just want to show off and act like they have something when they have nothing. You know, I think it's more impressive if you own gold and silver versus leasing cars, renting condos, and using a credit card to go out and have a steak dinner and then show everybody on social media. A $25 cocktail, put it on social media. You know you used a credit card to pay for that. But these are the brokies that continue to make excuses of why they cannot afford anything, but they will use debt to impress people they don't even know, and they go deeper and deeper into debt. Again, I don't think it really matters what kind of car you drive, what your zip code is. How much metal do you own? How much gold and silver do you own? Are you acquiring this stuff? Because if you're not, the central banks are going to keep doing it. The millionaires and billionaires are going to keep doing it. People like me are going to keep doing it. And at some point, this stuff is going to be so valuable because paper currency is going to be absolutely worthless. And there is a real big chance that you're going to see hyperinflation coming to America. If we stay on this course, we are going to see hyperinflation in America. And the average American, the majority of this country, is not prepared to deal with any of this. They don't want to feel pain. They've done everything not to feel pain. But at some point, you're going to feel pain because there's just no way out of this mess. And gold and silver, to me, helps prevent the pain because it is wealth insurance. Here's another one, financialexpress.com. Central banks now hold more gold than US Treasuries for the first time in 3 years. They know something's coming, ladies and gentlemen. Yet people want to impress us with steak dinners and weekend vacations and, you know, pictures of the cocktails they're drinking, the shrimp cocktails that they're eating. Ignore this stuff. You need to be preparing. This is not a time to show off. This is not a time to brag. This is the time to grind it out, prepare, and acquire. Sacrifice whatever you have to do to get this stuff. Central banks now hold 36,344 tons of physical gold. In 2020 and 2021, central banks purchased less than 1,000 tons of gold. Then all of a sudden we saw an explosion in this massive gold demand. These banks, these central banks cannot get enough. 36,344 tons of gold. And we have no idea the real number of how much gold China's holding, because they're never going to tell us. They're holding a lot of gold. But the central banks are getting ready for something. They are preparing for something. Wall Street Journal, U.S. stocks are now pricier than they were in the dot-com era. What could possibly go wrong? Comment down below. What could possibly go wrong that stocks are now pricier than they were during the dot-com era? When I look at gold and silver, I think they're undervalued. I think they're on sale because they have so much farther to go. And why is that? Because you look at what's happening in the stock market, the massive bubble, the bond market, you look at the national debt in this country, you look at global debt, you look at the wars around the world. You just look at all the chaos and uncertainty, and this is all very, very good for gold. It's good for silver. Silver's going along for the ride. So gold is the barometer now that I think we need to be following daily, not the stock market. Follow what's happening in the gold market now, a market now that is becoming much more difficult to manipulate like it was just a couple years ago. YahooLife.com. The marry the house, date the rate strategy is backfiring on 2025 home buyers. Remember all these real estate agents that told you don't worry about the price, you can always refi later. Well, it's a little difficult to do now because rates haven't come down like everybody thought that they were. Yeah, they pulled back a little bit. I don't know, what are we at right now? 6.65, somewhere around there, 6.7, somewhere around there. But so many people would come on these financial channels and tell everybody, go buy a house, you can refi later down the road. And now these people are stuck and they can't. And it's going to be a big problem. Again, be very careful who you listen to, who you're taking financial advice from. Everybody is getting desperate out there. The real estate agents, there's people on YouTube hustling all these courses, all these gimmicks, all the vitamins, all these, magic pills, everything, all the junior mining stocks that are going to go to $1 million. And you're going to see more desperation as the economy gets worse. People get more desperate, and they're doing anything they can to make a buck. And they will take advantage of innocent people. So beware of a lot of look, there's some very good real estate agents out there. I don't want to put everybody in the same basket, but there's a majority of them are very, very bad. And they've never been through a downturn. And many of them are getting very, very desperate. I see a lot of them on social media now. Before it was like, look what I sold, $100,000 over asking. Isn't this wonderful? And now they're selling nothing and they're getting very, very desperate. And I see so many people on YouTube selling so much garbage and trying to make a buck off innocent people. So beware of the con men out there, ladies and gentlemen. People are going to get very, very desperate because they're getting very, very broke. So be careful of that. Wolfstreet.com. Office, commercial, mortgage-backed security delinquency rate spikes to record 11.7%, much worse than financial crisis peak. Multifamily delinquencies also spike. So we're going to continue to see more extend and pretend and forbearance to cure the delinquent commercial real estate mortgage dilemma. This is going to end very, very badly because at some point, look, they are extending and pretending. The loan's due tomorrow, but don't worry, we're going to extend it another 6 months. Then we'll extend it another 6 months. Or we're just going to keep you in forbearance for 12 months. And so they do not want to start foreclosing and set off panic. This is going to be very, very bad for their books. It's going to be very, very bad news for the economy. And it will put a lot of panic into the markets. But at some point, it's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. You can only extend and pretend for so long. And this is way overdue. Something is going to break in commercial real estate. Multifamily is right behind office buildings, doing very, very poorly. So keep an eye on that. And why we're not hearing more about this and why they're able to continue to extend these loans is beyond me, but it continues to go on. Chicago, at least 53 shot thus far on Labor Day weekend. Another example of just how fast America is collapsing into the third world. I don't know if this country can be saved. It does not look good, but you look at the amount of crime out there, just take a look at what's happening. When you look at the amount of debt, 37 plus trillion dollars, 150, 170 trillion with unfunded liabilities. You look at what's happening to our cities, the amount of crime. What is it? I think Nordstrom's is closing in Santa Monica, going to close the Nordstrom's in Santa Monica because they just can't deal with the crime. And so many businesses leaving California, Los Angeles, and so many cities now just look like they are parts of an apocalyptic movie because they're just so scary, dangerous, infrastructure crumbling. It just goes on and on and on. And I just don't know if this can be turned around at this point. And all I can advise is you need to take care of you and your family. Because look, if you leave the government up to run any business, if you leave the government to do anything, it typically fails and things become worse. So if you think the people that you voted for are going to fix all of this, and they're typically the people that created the mess, and now we believe they're going to fix the mess, I don't see it happening. You know, the Federal Reserve created a lot of this mess, and now we believe and expect that the Federal Reserve is going to fix and clean up the mess. I don't think so. I really, really don't. We cannot stop spending as a nation, and what we're spending on is absolutely ridiculous. Why are we not putting this money back into our cities, back into our businesses, small businesses, helping the average household out? It's not looking good. Here's another one from the Hedge today. Replacement of American truckers with unvetted, unqualified migrant drivers must stop. What are your thoughts on that? I think if you have half a brain, just half a brain, you would say this does have to stop. Many of you probably saw, was it about a week or two ago, the migrant driver, there was two of them, one operating the 18-wheeler, the semi, making an illegal U-turn, and a vehicle with 3 passengers drove right under the truck, and all 3 of the passengers and driver lost their lives in that crash. The truck drivers were fine, but this guy was not here legally. He obtained a commercial driver's license, I think out of the state of California. Ridiculous. I mean, if you cannot read and write, you should not be driving an 80,000-pound vehicle on U.S. highways. I think that's pretty much common sense. It doesn't matter what side politically you're on, if you want to make this political, but does that make any sense to you whatsoever that maybe you should be able to read and write in English, be able to know that the speed limit is, 65 or 55, that, this is a one-way, that's a stop sign, and know what the road signs mean, construction zone. I mean, how can you drive an 80,000-pound vehicle if you cannot read English? If you cannot write in English, you have to go through scales, you have to know the laws, you have to know these signs. I mean, again, it doesn't matter where you're at politically. Don't you think, just for the safety of all of us, that you should have these basic reading and writing skills to operate 80,000 pounds of metal going down the road? I mean, just a question. Comment down below. Here's another one today. Actor Josh Duhamel, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Duhamel, says he is 70% ready for the apocalypse. I remember this guy was in that TV show Casino. It was a pretty decent show back in the day. He bought a cabin. He said and I saw this on the Adam Carolla show. He was a guest on there about a month and a half ago, and he bought this cabin in Minnesota over 10 years ago, and it's completely off the grid. He says he spends a lot of time with his family there, and they just love working the land, working on the cabin, living off the grid, and just learning skills. He says, I could be a better hunter, I could be a better fisherman, I could stockpile a little bit more food supply. It's good to get back to the basics and know how to do things, Duhamel said. And I think that's a really great point. And, I think that says a lot about somebody coming out of Los Angeles, just wanting to get back to the basics and just have a place in case something arises. He's not really forecasting a doomsday scenario, but he's prepared if something does happen. But he says he could prepare a little bit more. And honestly, I could prepare a little bit more. And I'm sure many of you out there could prepare a little bit more. But at the end of the day, we're all trying to do something. We're doing something. The majority of the country is doing absolutely nothing. They're out there running up more credit card debt, doom spending, buying things they can't afford, taking trips they can't afford, ignoring reality, ignoring the warning signs. And I think we really have to face facts and accept reality of where this is all going now. The debt is just too big, running a $2+ trillion deficit. I mean, the average person doesn't understand this. They don't know what an ounce of gold is today, an ounce of silver, what a barrel of oil is today. They don't understand this. They just want to know, what can they do? What can they buy on Amazon today? What can they do tonight that's going to be fun? Where can they go spend money they don't have? This is the average mindset today. They don't understand any of this. So they look at you like you're a Martian, like you're from another planet. And you just have to, figure out, where do you want to be today? Do you want to be in a bubble, or do you want to be preparing and getting ready for some bad times? Because these people over here in the bubble, they will be the ones knocking at your door. They will be the ones that want your food. They will want your security. They will want your friendship. They will want your advice. They will want your time. They're going to want what you have. They will want your assets. Be very, very careful of these people. These are going to be the most dangerous people around. Another one today. It happens so fast. The shocking reality of indoor heat deaths in Arizona. People are dying in Arizona because their air conditioning units are going out, and they don't have $10,000 or $15,000 to replace them or to repair them. And so there was a gentleman here who lost his life. He was obese and bedridden. And this is another prime example, as I end this video today with all of you on this beautiful Labor Day, very hot, 113 degrees. If the air conditioning went out today, it would be very hot in here, and it would be very, very difficult to probably even make this video, but we would survive. This man right here was severely obese, bedridden, so he had no chance once the air conditioner went out. Think about it. His whole life depends on electricity. If the electricity goes, there's no air conditioning, he's gone. And unfortunately, he lost his life. My heart goes out to his family, but this is why you need to be getting in better shape. This is why you better not be bedridden. This is why you better not be obese, because if the power goes out and you don't have air conditioning, what are you going to do? If you're in decent shape, you're going to be okay. Think about if the electricity goes out, you're not going to have the luxuries that you have on a daily basis. Maybe you're not going to eat today, but if you have emergency food put away, you'll be okay. Maybe you have that water put away, you're going to be okay. Maybe it's not the best tasting. Maybe you go a couple days without food, you'll be okay. But people who are in bad physical shape, they are sitting ducks. They are not going to make it through this. And we are going to see grids going down. There are just too many cyber attacks happening. Grids are going to go down, and people who are sick, people who are dependent on electricity, daily to stay alive, they're going to be in very, very big trouble. I cannot stress this enough, that you need to get in good physical shape, because you may live in an area where it gets very hot or it gets very, very cold. Maybe you can go chop some wood, keep a fire going, but if you're bedridden, if you're severely obese, you're not going to go out and chop wood. You need to be able to maybe get up and move and go somewhere else. But if you're this obese or this ill, you're not going to be able to do that. And so you're hoping and praying that nothing happens to the grid. And we are being warned on a daily basis from many, many agencies that the grid is going to get hit at some point. And it's going to be very, very tough. Even if you're healthy and in shape, it's going to be tough if you don't have electricity. It's going to be very, very difficult. But the better shape you're in, you're putting the odds in your favor of surviving. But you better have water, you better have food, you better have security, you better have all these things. You better have a medical kit, a trauma kit, a tourniquet. You better have extra batteries. You better have tools. You better have a lot of things. So you can, if you want to add anything to the list of what we really should be putting away right now, add it in the comments. Would appreciate that. People always throw stuff out there. I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. So, give me something that you think is really, really important to add to the survival list today. Put it in the comments down below. If I don't have it, I'm going to add it. So put that down below. But anyways, I just want to check in with everybody. I hope everybody's having a great Labor Day. Have a wonderful evening. Be careful out there. Markets will reopen tomorrow morning. But gold and silver on an absolute tear. And that is a warning. That is a big warning that something's happening. Don't forget the China summit with India, Russia in China this weekend, talking about detaching from Western civilization, from America. They want to get away from the West, and they want to start a new system. They're getting away from the dollar. They're going back to gold. They're going to back currencies with gold. Maybe they're going to use some type of stable coin backed by gold. Nobody really knows right now. But we are seeing more countries dumping U.S. bonds and going to gold. And that is a warning sign. How much longer the dollar has, who knows? Maybe it'll be around for the next 100 years, but it will be a third world currency. It is not going to be the global currency. That is for sure. Comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking today. Have a wonderful day. Be safe out there. God bless.